We are going to start with the fourth unit, that is power flow control of HVDC converters. Please understand that so far we have studied the details of HVDC scheme, types of HVDC links, and the study of arc electrodes and multi-terminal HVDC systems in the earlier chapter. Now we are going to discuss the HVDC converter controls and controller characteristics in this unit number 4. So kindly focus your attention on the schematic diagram of a bipolar HVDC link on the top here in the slide. Okay, so this is the schematic diagram, and it consists of converter 1 supplied from some AC network 1, right? Converter 1, and its output voltage is represented as VDR, assuming that converter 1 is acting as a rectifier. Okay, that is the suffix VDR. Then the smoothing inductance, transmission line having resistance RL. Okay, so this is a DC line, and again smoothing inductor, the inverter end, and inverter has an input voltage of VDI. So this is a DC terminal voltage at the inverter end. So VDI, I means inverter. So converter 2 has been shown to be acting as an inverter. Power will be flowing from converter 1 to converter 2 to begin with, in order to have understanding of controller mechanism, right? And of course converter 2 is connected to the AC network, which will be receiving the power. So just for simplicity of representation, AC networks are not shown here on the diagram, right? Now we wish to obtain the parameters that are responsible for power flow control in case of HVDC converter. So that's why we convert this schematic diagram into an equivalent circuit. And this is a steady state equivalent circuit of HVDC system. The equivalent circuit looks to be very simple, right? On the left hand side you have got the rectifier end source acting as a DC, very controlled DC source, right? Output from the converter 1, it will be available as a controlled DC voltage, right? Then the line resistance RL, already it is indicated. Current flowing through the DC line is represented as ID, standard notation. The rectifier and converter output is represented in the standard form VD0R cos of alpha. If you remember, we have seen the equation, solved problems earlier in unit number 3, where we were writing the DC output voltage of rectifier side converter having some terms like cos alpha plus cos of alpha, alpha plus mu, and right. So that cos alpha plus mu, that second term is not visible here, because that one is accounted separately in the form of a voltage drop. So equivalent commutation resistance has been represented. This is equivalent circuit. Practically there is no resistance, but some voltage that is dropped due to the commutation, due to the source inductance on the AC side of rectifier. It will lead to some voltage drop as DC current flows. So that is due to the simultaneous conduction of 3 thyristors in the bridge that we have already seen. So averaging of line voltages take place. Some voltage drop will take place. So at rectifier end, that voltage drop is accounted by representing an equivalent resistance RCR. So this is a dynamic. It depends upon the source inductance on AC side. And similarly on the inverter side, this you can see this is VD0I cos of beta, right? This is VD0I cos of beta. So this is VD0I cos of beta. Again here cos of beta, and we are not writing this as cos of beta and that mu, the cos second term that we have seen in equation earlier. Same reason, that is represented separately as a voltage drop. So DC side also, this inverter end, you can see the input terminal to the input voltage at the terminal of inverter, right, which will be again converted to AC for connecting it across the load. So this end, which is receiving the DC current, okay, so this you can consider as an active load here, right, and variable as firing angle of inverter is controlled, and this is VDI. VDI is equal to VD0I cos of beta. So this VD0I are all those terms 3 root 3 Vm upon 2 pi that we have used for calculation, standard form, right? So very simple steady state equivalent circuit. Fine. Current is flowing from converter 1, right, to converter 2. Current is flowing in this particular direction, right, ID. So this acts as a source and this acts as a load. This being a DC circuit, that's why the equivalent circuit in the steady state is a very simple for HVDC system transmission network, right? So this circuit will form the basis of complete power flow control studies for HVDC converter in this unit, in this chapter. So you have to understand this circuit very well. This is the rectifier and DC voltage, okay. It depends upon the firing angle. This is the inverter and DC voltage, depends upon the angle of advance beta, and so also the AC side voltages. Of course, here also AC side voltages, right? So voltages at the rectifier end and the inverter end, these are dependent upon four parameters. So first parameter is the VD0R, second parameter at the inverter end VD0I. That means we know that equation, no, 3 root 3 Vm upon 2 pi, isn't it? So Vm, that is the peak phase AC side converter transformer voltage, that's the AC voltage. So these two terms, these are voltage, AC side voltage dependent terms. Converter transformer AC side peak phase voltage, these are peak phase voltage. So these are voltage dependent terms. They will be decided by the transformer output at the rectifier end. Similarly, they will be decided by the tap ratio at the inverter end, okay. Then the next set of parameters that are deciding the control function of voltages at rectifier inverter end are firing angle and advance angle, which are controlled by the microprocessor, the firing angle control, the firing circuit, okay. It's an automated or maybe a manual control is not practical, but automated. It measures certain parameters, power, current and voltage, and under steady state the firing angle is very rapid control, firing angle control, alpha and beta. So four control variables which will decide the flow of current, isn't it? Which will decide the flow of current, because all the other parameters they are like, this is a commutation equivalent resistance. It depends upon the source inductance of the AC side of the rectifier network. So all these parameters, they are decided by the source inductances. So these are not the parameters which can be controlled as far as the power flow control in HVDC is concerned, right? These are all passive. Load resistance, equivalent commutation drop resistances, all passive elements. We cannot control them. The resistance of transmission line, once the length of transmission line is fixed, dimensions are fixed. So all these parameters are simply fixed These are passive. And accordingly, we can control the current only by controlling the parameters, that is DC side, the rectifier DC voltage output, okay, and similarly the inverter end voltage. Fine. So our control variables are here: rectifier side, inverter side, and then here rectifier side. These are the control variables. Fine. And these are not the control variables. We cannot control them. These are simply passive elements. Active elements are here. AC side voltages can be controlled by using tap changing transformer, and firing angle control by giving proper command to the microcomputer or a microprocessor, right? So 4 variables will be used for power flow control. By adjusting these values, we'll be able to adjust the value of DC current, and ultimately we are adjusting the voltages, and so also we are adjusting the DC current. And power flow across this circuit is simply voltage V1 minus voltage V2 divided by the sum of resistances. That will give us the value of current, isn't it? So let us memorize this circuit, keep it in mind clearly, and it will be very useful in arriving at the better understanding for the power flow control. Okay, so keep this circuit in your mind, and let us now move ahead. So the aim is to control the DC current, right? From the equivalent circuit, it is possible to write the equation for DC current as equal to rectifier end voltage, DC voltage from the equivalent circuit, minus inverter end DC voltage divided by sum of all the resistances in the circuit, line resistance and commutation drops for inverter and rectifier end, right? Please realize what are VD0R and VD0I. You can see VD0 is actually 3 root 2 VL upon pi or 3 root 3 VM upon 2 pi. Okay, we can either express this in terms of line voltage, or we can express this in terms of peak phase voltage, like we did while solving examples in the earlier case. So if you substitute peak phase voltage here instead of line voltage, you will get that same term, 3 root 3 VM upon 2 pi. Okay. Of course, anyone which if you know line voltage directly, we can use this particular term, and we can observe that RC represents the equivalent resistance for commutation overlap. So DC current equation is obtained, and it depends upon several parameters already as discussed while we are going through the equivalent circuit. Fine. So this is a very important equation which you have to remember in order to understand the power flow control in case of DC HVDC system. Here you can observe that the parameters that are there in the denominator, these are all the small voltage drops, resistors, passive elements. Okay, their values are very small. Line resistance per kilometer you might have experienced while solving the problems in unit number 1, where we have handled the power, check the power handling capacity. The value of resistance is very small, maybe of the order of 0.013 ohms per kilometer and so. Okay, and similarly equivalent resistive drop due to commutation overlap, these are also very small values. So the denominators are very small values, and they are not something which can be controlled. Okay, but rather the control is achieved, right, through the other set of parameters that are there in the numerator, right? So these are the parameters that can be controlled, as we have mentioned already earlier. So 4 parameters are there: AC side voltages of rectifier and inverter, and firing angles at rectifier and inverter. Okay, So we are going to check how to control DC current based on these four parameters. Okay. Naturally, the thought comes to the mind that let us say we would like to control DC current. Fine. So there are four different options that are available. Okay. So first two options I'll mark here. Okay. By the green colored arrow. First two options, right? These two options are basically controlled by controlling the tap ratio of converter transformers connected on the AC side of rectifier and inverter. So we can control the DC current by controlling the tap changer. Okay. Of course, this has to be done in an automated manner by tracking the value of DC current in a real time and then adjusting the tap ratio of converter transformers in order to adjust the value of DC current to a desired level. So generally these two methods where we control the converter transformer tap ratio in order to adjust VD0R and VD0I to set the value of ID to a desired level, these two methods are having a limited range of control within them, because tap ratio, it may vary by a limited range, maybe 20%, 30%, like that, depending upon which type of transformers are used, but this range is limited. Okay. And so also these are motorized control. Tap ratio is a mechanical arrangement wherein the taps are selected by the motor control, and it has got a certain finite time of response. It takes some time. Okay, time response is slow. These are slow methods. These methods are slow and they have a limited control range with us, right? They have limited control range with us. But let us observe the other two methods, that is firing angle control method, which I am marking by the pink colored arrows, okay, and advance angle. So these two methods are slow and limited control range, but the other two methods, alpha and beta, these methods are extremely fast, rapid response, because you know firing angle, it can be controlled from 0 to 180 degrees, isn't it? It can be controlled over a wide range of operation, right? So for a complete cycle of AC voltage, okay. So firing angle, this can be controlled by using some electronic circuit, which is controlled by a microprocessor or a microcontroller, which measures the DC current and dynamically changes the firing angle. It's a very rapid response time. This is an electronic circuit. It can generate the pulses very fast, and the pulses can be connected to the thyristor through the fiber optic cable. So very fast response time, and so also firing angle can be adjusted from full rectification mode to full inversion mode. Okay. Similarly, for angle of advance on the inverter end, it is possible to adjust the firing angle from 0 to 180 degrees, isn't it? So in either case, so what happens is that these methods, which are based on the firing angle control and advance angle control at the inverter end, these are extremely fast response, right? And they can adjust the DC current very rapidly, and not only they provide tremendous flexibility of operating one end converter both as a rectifier and also as an inverter. So this means that not only it can work to adjust the firing angle, it can even make power flow in the reverse direction, okay, by adjusting the firing angle control. Okay. So here you can clearly see two methods which are based on tap changing control. These are slow, okay, and limited range, and two methods which are very fast and full control range from rectification to inversion. So this is the idea. You have to understand how DC current can be controlled and what are their relative comparisons. So same thing has been mentioned here in the next slide, right? Kindly observe that DC current can be controlled using various methods. Firing angle control alpha at the rectifier end, advance angle beta at the inverter end, rectifier transformer wall winding voltage, that is VD0R at the rectifier end, and then transformer wall winding voltage at the inverter end, VD0I. Right? So the first two methods, these are rapid, okay, and they are also providing tremendous flexibility, and the remaining two methods, they are slow and limited control range. So that is what is mentioned. Relative comparison of the above four options reveals that methods 1 and 2, that is firing angle control and advanced angle control, they are rapid and flexible. Methods 3 and 4, they can be achieved through suitable tap changing transformers, but it has a slow response. Right? Same points we are just mentioning here as a matter of revision. Right? So let us move ahead further and arrive at the control strategies. So what can we do? Two methods are fast and two methods are slow. Right? So as seen from the equation for the DC current, the denominator is a very, very small value. Fine. Consequently, even a small change in AC voltage will cause a large change in DC current. वो जो हमने DC करंट का इक्वेशन देखा हुआ है, ID is equal to VD0R cos alpha minus VD0I cos beta upon RCR plus RL plus RCI. Equation just now we have seen. Denominator is very small. Okay, so even a small change in AC voltage, इक्वेशन में जो AC वोल्टेज है जिनकी वैल्यू किलो वोल्ट्स में रहती है, अगर उसमें थोड़ा सा भी चेंज आता है, डिनोमिनेटर इज वेरी स्मॉल, so smallest change divided by a very small number, there is a large change in the DC current. Right? And hence the manual control is undesirable. That is mentioned clearly. Manual control is undesirable. Manual control नहीं करना चाहिए. Right? Fast control is achieved by feedback error signal. Automated control चाहिए, feedback error signal from रेफरेंस डीसी करंट लेवल. आपको मालूम होना चाहिए कि डीसी करंट अपने को कितना रखना है. वो माइक्रो प्रोसेसर में, ये कंप्यूटर में वो सेट करेंगे, एंड देन द सर्किट विच जनरेट द फायरिंग एंगल, फायरिंग पल्सेस, इट शुड कीप रीडिंग द एक्चुअल करंट, कंपेयर इट विद द सेट वैल्यू ऑफ डीसी करंट, एंड अकॉर्डिंगली प्रोवाइड फास्ट कंट्रोल, ऑटोमेटेड कंट्रोल. मैनुअल कंट्रोल इज अनडिजायरेबल. इट्स नॉट पॉसिबल टू मैन्युअली मॉनिटर सच डायनेमिक चेंजेस. Manual control is undesirable. So fast control is achieved by the feedback error signal. Right? So let us now move ahead and check with the essential requirements from the HVDC converter control units. Very important. If you realize this, then naturally you are able to design a very good controller for the HVDC system. What are the essential requirements for the HVDC converters? What should HVDC converter do? Okay, keeping in mind that DC current depends upon 4 different parameters. Some are slow, some are faster. Okay, it depends upon the line resistance. Okay, so what is to be done? How the control can be done? So there has to be some objective set before we design a HVDC converter control unit. What are the objectives? Let us check with the objectives. First and foremost, symmetrical firing of thyristors or walls. Symmetrical firing. All the thyristors, let us say if there is a 3-phase bridge, so 6 thyristors at any point of time, right? You might have studied in the power electronics in a 3-phase bridge, right? If there are 6 thyristors, so naturally they are triggered sequentially, and at any point of time one pair of thyristor is conducting under steady state. So if we consider that one full cycle of AC input is worth 360 degrees or 2 pi radians, fine, 360 degrees. So symmetrical firing of 6 thyristors within 360 degrees. Each of them will receive a pulse 360 by 6. So thyristor will be triggered every 60 degrees. symmetrical firing under steady state. So converter control unit should provide symmetrical firing of valves under the steady state. Symmetrical, ठीक है. 12 pulse operation है तो 12 thyristors रहेंगे. So 12 thyristor 360 divided by 12. Okay. So every 30 degrees one new thyristor has to be triggered with proper gate pulse, right? While we are controlling the DC current and making power flow control, it is absolutely necessary to minimize the reactive power consumption, minimum reactive power consumption. Fine. We want to make power flow control through AC to DC conversion, DC to AC conversion, HVDC system, but at the same time it should be with a minimum power reactive power consumption. A reactive power consumption, it's not good for the AC network. As reactive power is consumed, we know that the line loading will increase for the same amount of active power delivered. So it is undesirable to go for reactive power consumption. Okay, although the HVDC stations, substations, they provide local reactive power compensation techniques, right? But still, to minimize its impact on the overall cost of the system, minimum reactive power consumption should take place. And while we are minimizing the reactive power consumption, right, at the same time we should realize that there should not be commutation failure risk. Commutation failure is a type of converter fault that we are going to realize and study later in the chapter number 6, isn't it? रिएक्टिव पावर कंजम्पशन कम करना है, लेकिन उसको कम करते करते फायरिंग एंगल के बीच में इतनी कम गैप मत रखो कि कम्यूटेशन फेलियर मतलब थायरिस्टर्स का जो वॉल ट्रिगरिंग है इट गेट्स डिस्टर्ब स्पेशली एट द इन्वर्टर एंड. कम्यूटेशन फेलियर नहीं होना चाहिए. सपोज थायरिस्टर 1 2 3 4 5 6 है, तो अगर 1 के बाद 2 को फायर करना है, 2 के बाद 3 को फायर करना है, तो कम्यूटेशन फेलियर मतलब ये हो जाता है कि after 1 2 was fired but it did not work. Okay, so 3 has been fired, so 2 did not take over from the earlier thyristor. Okay, that is a commutation failure. We'll see how it works. Okay, next, the converter controller unit. Fine, the converter controller unit, it should be insensitive to normal variation in voltage and frequency. अगर AC network में load on off हो रही, the loads are switching on and switching off, okay, then it is always possible that some variation in the frequency and voltage will always be there, and you realize that actually firing of the thyristors, firing angle of thyristor is closely associated with the frequency and voltage waveform. तो अगर वोल्टेज और फ्रीक्वेंसी थोड़े थोड़े चेंज हो रहे तो इधर फायरिंग एंगल भी अफेक्ट होगा, बिकॉज फायरिंग एंगल जो है वो कंप्लीटली कम्यूटेटिंग वोल्टेज की वेवफॉर्म को फॉलो करता है. व्हेन द वोल्टेज इज अवेलेबल देन ओनली दिस फायरिंग एंगल विल बी सेट. ओके, सो इफ देयर इज सम नॉर्मल वेरिएशन मे बी 5-10% लाइक दैट, सो HVDC कन्वर्टर कंट्रोल यूनिट शुड बी इनसेंसिटिव टू नॉर्मल वेरिएशन. अगर नॉर्मल वेरिएशन को भी ट्रैक करने के लिए ये फायरिंग एंगल एडजस्ट करते रहेंगे तो नेचुरली इट विल लीड टू कंजम्पशन ऑफ रिएक्टिव पावर. इट विल लीड टू वेरिएशन इन द DC current frequently, as on the AC side some load changes, some frequency changes are continuous, and they can be, a particular value can be treated to be a normal variation, and HVDC converter control, which is very very sensitive and which can act very rapidly, it should not be operating for normal variations, right? Next is the converter control unit should be able to provide continuous operating range from full rectification to full inversion. मतलब फायरिंग एंगल को पूरा 0 से लेकर 90, 90 से लेकर 180 पूरी रेंज, it should be able to provide full rectification to full inversion mode of operation. पूरी रेंज वहां पे अवेलेबल रहनी चाहिए, ठीक है, that is the case. And lastly, the converter controller characteristics should have sufficient speed. तो स्पीड तो पॉसिबल है क्योंकि ये माइक्रो प्रोसेसर माइक्रो कंट्रोलर से कंट्रोल्ड है. एंड स्टेबिलिटी मार्जिन, it should have sufficient speed. Okay, current control characteristics, it should have sufficient speed and stability margin. There should be stability margin, right? So these are the objectives: symmetrical firing, minimum reactive power consumption, insensitivity to normal variation, continuous operating range, full flexibility from rectification to inversion, and lastly speed and stability, right? So these are the essential requirements of HVDC converter control units. Having understood the parameters that are responsible for controlling the power flow and primarily the voltages and currents in the DC HVDC system, now let us arrive at the various control methods that are suggested for stable operation of HVDC system. So mainly two methods are there. One is a constant current control method, okay, that is highlighted here and its characteristics. And the second method that we are going to see at a later stage in this discussion is constant extinction angle control. Okay, constant current control and constant extinction angle control. These two methods are very, very important. One method is mainly responsible for having a strategy which tries to maintain the current in the DC link within range, and the other method mainly tries to minimize the reactive power consumption by maintaining the voltage. So once we maintain the DC current, we maintain the DC voltage. Effectively, the product of these two, we are trying to maintain the power flow, okay, or control the power flow. So let us start our discussion on very important first method of HVDC converter control, that is a constant current control. In short, acronym is used is CC control or CCC, right? So constant current control. Observe carefully the characteristics of HVDC converter with constant current control represented on the VI characteristics of HVDC converter. Okay, so you can see here down at the bottom, indicated here, steady state VI characteristics or VDID characteristics of HVDC converter. On the x-axis, we have DC current, right? On the x-axis, we have DC current plotted, and on the y-axis, we have DC voltage. Particular, we may consider a rectifier and converter, and DC current flowing out of its terminal is ID, and DC voltage developed across anode and cathode at the output of a converter is VD. So these two things are plotted. If you remember, while making comparison of EHV-AC with HVDC technology, we have drawn the voltage profile of a HVDC converter, or you may consider a DC line, isn't it? So it is almost a flat DC voltage output, almost a flat DC voltage output with a slight decrease in the slope due to a small amount of resistive voltage drop on the transmission line. Due to a small amount of resistive voltage drop on the transmission line. Okay, so see here that this is a flat voltage profile, and secondly, the characteristics is actually slightly having a decrease in the slope. This is due to the drop in the transmission line resistance, voltage drop, right? And please observe that this voltage drop, as current increases, the voltage drop will increase. This is very, so this particular area from point A to point B, this area point A to point B, fine. You can see this particular part. This is called as the natural voltage characteristics. This is called as the natural voltage characteristics. Why is it called natural voltage characteristics? Because we have set the voltage at the converter output by keeping alpha to the minimum value. Minimum alpha can be 2 to 5 degrees. So VD0, it depends on the AC side voltage. VD0 cos of alpha firing angle is set to minimum, right? Then as the load current increases at the inverter side, so DC current, as DC current increases, there will be a small voltage drop. So this is natural voltage characteristic, no change in the firing angle, only voltage drop. So this is natural voltage characteristics, right? But let us imagine that our converter, which is having a thyristor valve, isn't it? So thyristors have a limited, have a defined rating. Let us say the DC current rating of the thyristor is 1000 or 2000 amperes. So once the load current drawn on the DC line, it reaches the rated current of a thyristor, right? Once it reaches the rated current of thyristor or the set value of thyristor rating, right, current cannot be allowed to increase. Current cannot be allowed to increase. So this here, we cannot allow current to increase, right? So it is here that the constant current characteristic comes into picture. Constant current control, constant current characteristics. So as the current tries to go beyond point B, it tries to go beyond, current tries to increase beyond ID3, some set value, ratings of the thyristor or maybe ratings of the converter station. What will happen is that the constant current control method, it will try to adjust the firing angle alpha. It will try to adjust the firing angle alpha, and as current is trying to increase, it will reduce this particular voltage. This voltage is the first term in the DC current equation. This is the first term in the numerator, rectifier side voltage. It will try to reduce the voltage in order to keep the current under control. And how to reduce the voltage? By increasing the value of firing angle. Earlier the firing angle was minimum, the firing angle will be increased, monitoring the value of DC current to ensure that it doesn't exceed the limits, right? So this can continuously adjust the firing angle until the current remains constant. So this is what is called as constant current control. This is one level. Maybe we don't want to load the thyristor up to, let us say, its rated capacity. We may set the level to be, for a 2000 ampere thyristor, we may set the level to be 1500 ampere or maybe 1000 ampere, keeping some additional margin for overloading. Okay, of course, it's not overloading, it is keeping some safety margin. So these values, right, at the bottom, these values at the bottom, that is this ID1, okay, and then you have got the next value, that is ID2, fine, and then ID3. These are all called as current references, the set value of current for the converter, which will ensure that the control, constant current control, does not allow current to exceed beyond this. Because thyristors are solid state devices, they cannot operate, they don't have any overload capacity, right? So current monitoring has to be very prompt. current cannot be allowed to increase beyond a set value. So this value is communicated to the controller. It is set in the controller, constant current control mechanism. Okay. And it will always compare the actual current with the set current. ID will be compared with ID3. Error signal will be generated, and accordingly the firing angle alpha will be modified in order to keep it within range. So this is what is the constant current control characteristics, right? This is what the constant current control characteristics. Right. Let us move to the description. The same aspect has been explained here. Kindly focus your attention as I was telling earlier. Okay. Here. The power flow control in HVDC system require control of VD and ID, right? So what is done is that the task of maintaining DC current is assigned to one terminal station, so that is generally the rectifier, and task of maintaining the DC voltage is assigned to the other terminal station. So HVDC stations, there are two, one is the rectifier end, other is the inverter end. In order to control the power, fine, in order to control the power, we control VD and ID. Since there are two substations, rectifier and inverter, one will maintain the current, that is generally rectifier end, and other will maintain the voltage or control the voltage. Together, VD and ID, they will provide independent control of power flow over the DC transmission line, right? So observe the next paragraph, right? If as mentioned earlier that at the inverter end there is a substantial risk of increase in the ID due to slight change. Okay, this is because the denominator values in the DC current equation, they are very small, right? And that's why it is mentioned that if DC voltage at the inverter terminal decreases due to fault, then ID tends to rise to a very high value. अगर इन्वर्टर एंड का डीसी वोल्टेज सडनली कम होता है तो डीसी करंट काफी बढ़ जाएगा. कंसीडरिंग द फैक्ट द power flow control is achieved, right, by setting the DC current references. Power flow control is achieved by setting the DC current. Current cannot be allowed to increase beyond the set reference. So set references, as I explained, so same thing has been mentioned in the paragraph. Okay. Constant current control is established by altering firing angle at rectifier end. So this is a particular paragraph is giving a clear-cut idea, fine, about the constant current control, right? Observe carefully. Constant current control is established by altering the firing angle at the rectifier end, and an error detector compares actual DC line current with the set reference value to generate a command for firing angle. So this type of control strategy is known as constant current control, as shown by the HVDC converter characteristics, right? Constant current control, setting the reference and modifying the firing angle so that current does not exceed its limit in case of fault or in case of some abnormal operation or decrease in the DC voltage at the inverter end, right?